Well, hello there, everyone. How y'all doing this Super Saturday, March the 4th of 2023? Hopefully you have an outstanding day. For some of you, for a lot of you, it's probably your weekend after a week of work. So congratulations on making it to another weekend. And here's the question. How do you motivate yourself? Okay? How do you motivate yourself? Anyway, I'm Mazske Finance. I'm not a financial advisor, not a CPA, not a CPA. I just said that twice, didn't I? I'm not a financial advisor, CPA, or attorney. And I'm not any kind of doctor, nutritionist, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm not a motivational coach either. So anyway, how do you motivate yourself? I'm going to talk a little bit about that, the way I talk about things. I'm going to share what I've used to motivate myself, and maybe share a few snippets of how others have motivated themselves. And you develop your own techniques to motivate yourself. Okay? So what have I done to motivate myself? I started investing back in 1990-ish, right around 1990. Okay? Why did I start investing? I always had sort of a love of numbers. I always had read the newspaper as a young guy. I had always seen the stock page in the newspaper. I remember being a kid asking my father about the stock page, and he didn't know really anything about it. He told me it was the stock page, I guess. I remember being in the country of Panama, and I'd read the Miami Times at the time, because that was a newspaper we'd get down there on the base. I'd go to the library and read it for free. And I'd see the stock page, and I'd always be like, I just didn't quite, I never learned how to read it. So then one day, not just one day, but I had a roommate. I lived in our barracks caught on fire one time. So I was drunk, smoking in bed, caught the barracks on fire. And they moved us into base housing because they had shipped all the dependents out of Panama because of the tensions and stuff. Noriega was there. It was leading up to Operation Just Cause. And so I had a roommate, and we had a 2-bedroom house. There's 4 of us in there, so I had a roommate. And he would lay in bed at times. He was about 10 years older than me, and he would talk about mutual funds. And he would always use the phrase like, what if? What if I had money? Could I invest in this mutual fund? He talked about the top mutual funds. And he kind of spiked my interest in there. And I was like, he explained more to me about mutual funds. So I did a couple things. I started going to the library again. I'd be looking at Money Magazine, Kiplinger's Magazine, whatever else might have been there. And I'd read about mutual funds. I also looked at the stock page in the Miami Times again, and I figured it out. Oh, that's the buy price. That's a high 52-week high, 52-week low. The dividend yield. I figured all that out. It took a little time and energy to figure it out. And then I was like, huh. But then I was like, how do you buy those stocks? I looked into it. It's like, you need a stockbroker, and you had to buy like round lots of like 100 shares or 50 shares. And it's like, I look at the share price, be like 100 shares, and it's $50. That's a chunk of money. I can't afford that. But then when I looked at mutual funds, you had to have a required minimum balance or investment to start. A lot of times it was $1,000. And then you could put in like $50 a month or something like that. So I re-enlisted in the Navy while I was in Panama, and I got a selective re-enlistment bonus. And I opened up 2 mutual funds, 2 different mutual fund companies, I believe it was, and put $1,000 in each. And then started putting in $50, I think, into each one. Okay. Fast forward in time, and why did I do that? The motivation came from talking to another person who got me excited about putting money. I had always like saved money, like put it in the bank and saved it. And then I'd save it up and take it out, like in Panama in 1988, I think it was. I took $1,000 out or $1,500 out and used it to pay for a trip to the country of Peru. I flew in from Panama to Lima, Peru, spent a day there, went to Quito. Was it Quito? No, not Quito, that's Ecuador. Cusco. Yeah, I went to Cusco, and then I went to Machu Picchu. And I spent the night in Cusco. I spent the night on top of the mountain in Machu Picchu, and then made the return trip. Flew out on Christmas Day, flew back on New Year's Eve. I think it was 1988. Could have been, 88. That's when it was. There was tension in Puerto Rico, in Peru back then too. The guerrillas, drug trade, all that was going on. So it was kind of risky. I think the U.S. had said something about U.S. tourists shouldn't go there, but I was young, and we had no issues at all. Okay, so anyway, in 1996, I got out of the Navy, left active duty at least, and took a job. I said, I got a bachelor's degree. I had almost a 4.0 GPA in college while in the Navy. I was like, I can get out and get a job in business because I majored in business studies. Well, I never really knew how to apply to one of these good jobs. So when I got out, it was a struggle a bit there, but I finally got hired in a management training program for a company. Okay. But then I did it for about a year. They bounced me around 6 different states, I think it was, and settled me in the Shenandoah Valley. And then while I was living there, I saw an ad in the newspaper for the police department. I got hired. It was 1998. 1999, I found The Motley Fool, and I just fell in love with that site. I started reading stuff, and I realized really quick, hey, the little guy, we can buy individual stocks. There's online stockbrokers, Scottrade, Ameritrade, TD, whatever, E-Trade, and $7 a fee, transaction fee. And you don't have to buy 50 shares or 100 shares. You could buy 1 share or something. The Motley Fool would recommend keep the commission charge like 2% of your buy price, like the amount of dollars you put in. Don't just put like $10 in and you got to pay a $7 commission fee, Put in, my goal was to put in $500 and pay that $7, $8, $9 commission fee. Okay, so that's what I would do. I would put roughly $500 into an individual stock, and I bought 19 stock positions in 1999. 2000 came along, 2001, and we had what's called the dot-com crash, and I wrote it on down. Okay, my money got cut in half, 50% drop. Okay, and what led me to not pull my funds out? I used to read The Motley Fool a lot, and they would tell you don't sell after it crashes, which so many Americans do. Every time there's a crash, the stock market's up here, money is rolling into the stock market, 401ks, everything. But once it crashes, money's coming out. You see the problem? People pull their money out after the crash. You shouldn't do that. Except, I'm on record with saying on this channel, I think the stock market over the rest of this decade, perhaps next couple of years, is going to kind of flatline a bit. We've had a bull run basically since 1990. I think it's come to an end. Okay, I think there's a storm brewing in some fashion. Personally, I don't have much money at all in the stock market. I don't plan to. All right. So how did I motivate myself to keep going after these different crashes, the Great Recession, 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12? How did I motivate myself to keep going? Different things. As a cop, 1998, my starting pay was $23,000 a year. My mortgage was 1 paycheck out of 2 in a month. Second paycheck had to pay my utility bills. I had to feed myself, my wife, 2 kids, a dog, a cat, a German Shepherd, 105-pound dog, cat, and 2 parakeets. And I had to maintain the yard on 1 acre and a third yard, big yard. And my 2 cars, insurance, etc. Money was tight. It was extremely tight for quite a number of years. But I survived. I refused to go into debt besides my mortgage. I just refused. And what did I use to motivate myself? It was not wanting to fail, I think. I had to survive. And I always knew if I had a little bit of money in the stocks, worst case scenario, that's my emergency fund, because I didn't have an emergency fund at all. I say worst case scenario, I can pull it out of the stock market. Now, I hope that would never happen, and it never did. Okay, but then we fast forward to modern times. Why do I talk about health so much on this channel? Because my health and the health of the missus has motivated me to learn a lot about health-related stuff. It ties right in with investing, because the more I learn, the more I realize the majority of Americans are unhealthy. The majority of Americans do not invest. If you watch my channel, you must be an investor, or at least have an interest in learning how to invest. Okay? If you have an interest in learning how to invest, take an interest in yourself. Make yourself healthy. Okay? I am in the process now of, I was prescribed medication almost a year ago, after having an endoscopy. I've talked about it on my channel. And I had inflammation in my esophagus. Okay, it could lead to what's called Barrett's esophagus, which can lead to, it's a precancerous type thing. It can lead to cancer. Okay, and my doctor back then, he just, here, take this prescription. I was like, but I remember talking to him. I was like, what about eating? What should I eat? How should I change my diet? Well, I just take that medication because that medication you prescribe blocks acid production. Okay. The more I looked into that, I got the little pamphlet from the pharmacy when they gave it to me, and I read it, and I was like, whoa, there are so many side effects potentially. Increased bone fractures as you age, and this problem, and that problem, and that problem. And I was like, this is not good. I called the doctor up, and I said, I don't want to take this. He's like, you need to. And I said, I don't want to. It's too many risk factors. And he said, well, you're taking a very small dose once a day, not a larger dose twice a day, small dose once a day. So here's a suggestion. Test out taking it every other day. Okay? And see what happens. If you have any problems, then increase back to daily, but every other day. So I've been taking it every other day. Haven't had any issues. As we get into now this last 2 months or so, I've been doing even more research on a lot of different things, health related. And I've come to realize this medication, a very large percentage of Americans take this medication, PPIs, or 3Ps or 2Ps, whatever it is. And a large part of Americans take a prescription. There's something like 70% of Americans age 30 and up or 39 and up take at least one prescription, and a bunch take 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. And I'm like, that's not good. That's not good. That's a sign of what's to come for all of the younger people, right? No, it's not. No, it's not. Use those statistics. Teenagers are getting diabetes. People in their 30s are dying of colon cancer. Use that stuff to motivate yourself to not get diabetes, not get colon cancer. Most Americans are not prepared for retirement. Use that to motivate yourself so you are prepared for retirement. And not just retirement. You can be financially independent in 5 or 10 years. Okay? Use that. I can't motivate you. I can't get inside you and teach you how to motivate yourself. You have to take your breadth of knowledge and figure out what works to motivate yourself. Because we all get up in the morning and, it's another day. I got to go to the job. I got to do this, got to do that. Okay? And it's a grind. It's a grindstone. The daily, it's a hamster wheel. You're spinning your wheels, So you gotta use something to motivate yourself. For some of you, some of the other investors I know, some grew up poor as kids. Some, as adults, got divorced and their spouse left them like multiple thousands of dollars in debt. Other things happened to them, and they used the bad experience to motivate themselves to do better. Okay? I struggled financially for a lot of years with low income. I used that to learn how to invest. I had some minor health issues. I did not like the medication. If you Google my PPIs and look at, there's horror stories. People have been on this drug for 20 years, 30 years, and they talk about trying to quit it and how they withdraw from it. If someone takes it for 2 months, they'll have withdrawal symptoms. Doctors prescribe this. It can break your bones, increase the risk of bone fractures. Why are doctors prescribing it? Why are not doctors educating people on how to change their diet to prevent this problem from happening? I don't get it. It's a money adventure out there. Okay, I don't get it. So educate yourself on how to invest. Educate yourself on how to get healthy. For getting healthy, diet is more important than exercise, but exercise is right there closely behind, because you got to exercise along with eating and when I say diet, it's not like diet. It's eating correctly. If you eat correctly, if you're overweight at all, don't try to diet to lose weight. Try to learn how to eat correctly and you will lose weight. Cut out flour, white flour, cut out sugar. If that's all you do, added sugar, not fruits. Cut out fruit juice. The amount of sugar in one orange is whatever it is, okay? But if you eat that orange, you get all the fiber and nutrients and phytochemicals and this and that. If you drink a cup of orange juice, there's like 8 oranges in that cup of orange juice. You get none of the fiber, none of the other good stuff in it. You get that sugar all from 8 oranges in there, and that's what you're drinking. How many Americans drink a glass of orange juice for breakfast? A lot, okay? Look at what you're doing. I've said this almost from day one on this channel. Make good, conscious decisions, okay? I'll throw another example out. If you love the taste of bacon, okay? If you love it, I love the taste of bacon. If you love the taste of bacon, but it has literally no nutritional value. All it has is some protein, and you can get protein from a variety of other sources. But you know bacon is carcinogenic. You know they put nitrates in it. You know it's processed. You know it's bad for you. Are you not strong enough to give it up? Are you the sort of mindset that you say, it won't hurt me. I'm a tough guy. It won't hurt me. By golly, there's tough guys all along that die young and get diseases. Look at John Wayne. Any of you my age remember John Wayne? He was a famous actor, cowboy, tough guy. And he died, I think, maybe in the 60s or maybe in the early 70s. And I read something one time about this. I read it when I was a kid, that they did an autopsy on him, and they found he was known as a steak and potatoes guy all his life. And when they did an autopsy on him, his colon was packed full of stuff because it was clogged up. It's like, yeah, that's not good. But I never thought too much about it back then. I was probably a teenager when he died, or a kid. I think he died in the 70s. I was probably a kid. So make good, conscious decisions. Learn how to motivate yourself. You will have bad days. You will fall on hard times, perhaps. You will struggle with something. If you invest in real estate, understand the importance of having cash reserves, because you will have issues with some rental property. You will have to rehab it. You will have a tenant linger inside and do damage, and you'll have to fix stuff. You'll have some tenant not pay you rent, and you still got to pay the mortgage, taxes, and insurance. Okay? So understand the importance of cash reserves. Don't get reckless. Make good, conscious decisions and stay motivated. All right? So I know this is getting long. We're at 18 minutes. I want you all to be successful in life. I want you all to be healthy. All right? Enough said. Have a great day. Mazske is signing out.